Hello YouTube, it's your boy Nathan, coming to you to do another recap video. Today we're going to be talking 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After, Season 7, Episode 1, the premiere. So 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After. We just got done with the regular 90 days, and now we're into a spinoff of 90 Day Fiancé. It's basically past members from past seasons of 90 Day Fiancé and their married life or engaged life or whatever, and seeing how they are and just in regular life days with them. Now, the show's called Happily Ever After, but it clearly has a history. But anybody ever notices there's a question mark after the word after. Happily Ever After is, TLC doesn't put the best couples on Happily Ever After. They actually put the people who are struggling on Happily Ever on this spinoff. I don't know why. I think it's for ratings. But nonetheless, it's still good. It's still good TV, and it's still good to know where everybody stands. But Happily Ever After is the most explosive 90-day spinoff. So we're just gonna get started into it. The first couple I'm going to talk about is Jenny and Submit. Now, Jenny and Submit, they were on the first 3 seasons of 90 Day Fiancé the other way. Jenny is from California and Submit lives in India. They've been together for like 10 years. There are 30 years. There's a 30-year age gap between them. Jenny's 63, Submit is 33. And I think they are the couple that has the biggest age gap in the show, and it's really close, but they do. So Jenny and Submit, so last season on The Other Way, they got married. Now their storyline is that Submit, with their age gap, Submit's parents does not approve of his relationship with Jenny. Even though Jenny treats him nice, they like Jenny as a person, but they don't like Jenny to be with Submit. And they're doing, especially her, Submit's mother, they will say everything to try to break them up. They even arranged Submit to have like an arranged marriage, and that didn't work out, and he got divorced from that. So at the last tell-all from last year, at the tell-all for The Other Way, they were going to tell the parents that they're married, but they decided not to do it during the show, and wanted to do it on their own time. So we left with the cliffhanger for like a whole year on what happened with Jenny and Submit. So in this episode, they start out, they do their little introduction on how they met, what their story was like. This episode, they moved to a new house, a nice new house and everything. Jenny and Submit, they start out going rollerblading. Jenny falls. She's 63 years old, going rollerblading, and falls on her butt. So when she fell, I was like, Jenny, you're 63 years old. I wouldn't be rollerblading and falling like that if I were you. But, they get up and go have a talk, and then they talk about we need to tell, Submit was like, we need to tell my parents that we are married. And Jenny's like, this is going to be bad. This is going to be a bad idea. They don't like me. That they're going to try to take you away from me, like he's a kid and everything. And, Submit's parents, I understand the cultural, they're worried because culturally what people think, but, they're on TV, and it's love, but, I understand in Indian culture that's not normal, but, they are madly in love with each other, and, I don't see what the big deal is, and so, nonetheless, Jenny was like, well, can I be there when you tell him? And Submit was like, yes, but I don't want you to speak or whatever. So Jenny gets mad and says, I need to speak. Like, because I need to speak. I need to speak. And, they got into a little argument about that. And then Submit's like, okay, you can speak. So they go back to their old house where they used to live. They clean it up a little bit, so his parents come. So Submit's parents come to the house along with Submit's brother and his wife. Now, and Submit's brother and his wife, they were at the tell-all last year, and there was a question that asked if if Submit's brother, if the parents didn't approve Submit's brother's wife, would he have married her? And he had said no. And I felt so bad for his wife in that moment. And the wife was just like, that question has never really brought up and stuff. But and that's just sad, like how Submit's parents are just so manipulative and so controlling over their life, even them as adults. And again, I understand Indian culture where it's normal, but it's just ridiculous. So Jenny, and so the family's all together. Jenny brings in some tea, and she was working hard in the kitchen. She said she was a little sweaty because she's nervous. And Submit's mother has a smile on her face and just starts talking crap. She's like, why are you sweaty from, why are you tired from making tea? She's like, I've been in the kitchen. And she was like, well, somebody has to do it. I'm like, yeah, well, so. And then in Hindu, she was talking to the husband and the brother, and it's like, look at her hands. Her hands are getting fat and stuff. And I'm just like, dang, woman. She is, and she's saying all this stuff with a smile. And I'm just like, wow, come on now. So, from what we gathered last year with Jenny and Submit and the parents, they had like this astrologer last year that said that they could get married, and the astrologer is a family friend to them, and the astrologer said that they should get married. They should get married. Why are you stopping them and whatever? It's his life, not yours. What kind of mother are you? So the mother starts crying, and she was like, okay, like, I'm not going to approve of this, but Jenny asked, do we have your blessing? We love you, Jenny, whatever. And Jenny asked, do we have your blessing to get married? She's like, I'm not going to support it, but I'm not going to stop you. And Jenny just took that. I was like, okay, I'll take that. We're not going to support you, but we're not going to stop you. I'll take that. So they got married secretly on their own. It was a nice ceremony last year when they got married. So now they come to the house, and they were like, you said that you will not support it, but you won't stop it. Yeah, and she was like, yeah, and then the mom was like, I never said that. I will never be supportive of you marrying Jenny, not even on my deathbed. Well, Submit was like, well, mama, guess what? I got married. And you would just like, after he said that, you would have just felt like the world just ended for Submit's mother. Submit's mom was like, don't ever, if you come to my house, I will insult you and kick you out. And then she starts crying and stuff like, how could he get married? How can he do this to us and stuff? I'm just like, oh my God. It was so dramatic. It was very dramatic. And we left on the cliffhanger on that one. So I'm finally glad that Submit finally told them they got married. I know it didn't really backfire. They wanted to tell them before they found out online and stuff by people and stuff. So, but yeah, that was just so dramatic on how the mother reacted after he said, I'm married. And he didn't even do it like in a stalling way. He was like, well, guess what? I got married. So take that. So yeah, I'm proud of Submit, because my issue with Submit over the years is that I don't, I'm not saying this to be mean or nothing. I just felt like he was I see his mother. His mother is very manipulative. She even said that before, a couple years ago, that if he married Submit, that she would kill herself, and that's way too extreme and stuff. And I just felt so bad. But I also think that Submit is still a grown man, and he needs to stop being so scared all the time to please his parents and stuff. The parents don't accept him because he loves somebody that's 30 years older than him. It's just whatever. If she treats him well, then it shouldn't really matter. It's not illegal, by the way. It's not illegal. I understand with a lot of age gap relationships, people look at it, oh, you're old enough to be my mother, you're old enough to be my father, this, and that, and you want to date me, this is really kind of scary and stuff. I'm like, yes, but again, unfortunately, it's not illegal. And that's all I can say about that. So yeah, Jenny and Submit, That was Jenny and Cement in this episode. I rambled on for 10 minutes about them. As you can see, they're the couple who I was like most intrigued by in this episode. So I can't wait to see what happens post the and how the conversation ended, and see how the mother is going to really react. So that was Jenny and Cement. Next up, I want to move on to a returning couple that we just seen on 90 Day Fiancé, and that's Bilal and China. Now, for this season, Happily Ever After, they normally have like 2 or 3 couples from the past season of 90 Day Fiancé coming into the new season of Happily Ever After. This season, they only have one, and that's Bilal and China. So, I forgot to mention, last week at the tell-all, at the 90 Day tell-all, Bilal was sad that people thought that he was just a bad person and controlling and, lecturing all the time. So, he left the tell-all all depressed and stuff. I forgot to mention that in the last video last week. But this episode, Bilal and China, they just recapped their 90 days. They've already been married for like 7 weeks, they said, and everything. They start out playing out in the snow. China has never really seen snow before, but she was enjoying. They were playing like the Charlie Brown. If you remember Charlie Brown, where Lucy's holding the football and the kid's coming to kick a field goal, and then she moves the football up and he falls. They were playing a little bit like that in snow. China tasted the snow, which I think was a little nasty, but okay. But she seemed to enjoy it or whatever. So Bilal and China, so there's still some unfinished business with them because of the ex-wife. Now, if y'all remember back during the 90 days that the ex-wife came over and and when they were having the big prenup debate and stuff and everything, came over and came over too aggressive and everything, and Shida didn't like that. And then at the tell-all, Shida didn't even want to look at Shahida and stuff. So Shida was told Bilal, listen, we need to make amends with your ex-wife. I didn't like the way she came at her and everything, and we need to make amends. And Bilal basically agreed to it. They went to a restaurant. They're going to meet her at a restaurant to discuss it, because Bilal said, I don't really want chaos. I do want a good relationship with my kid's mother, and everything, I don't want no animosity with my new wife and my ex-wife and stuff. So we're going to meet, and we basically left on a cliffhanger with that. But, I'm curious to see how this meeting is going to go. Judging by the previews of next week, it's not going to go good. But, Shida felt disrespected by Shahida coming in strong like that, telling him to sign a prenup. Shida feels like that Shahida thought that she was a gold digger trying to take from Bilal and Bilal's kids, and that was definitely not the case. Shida, I give Shida that she is not no gold digger. So yeah, that's what we've seen out of Bilal and Shida. Next I'm going to talk is Kimberly and Usman, aka Soldier Boy. So we just only seen Kimberly, we didn't see Usman yet. So Kimberly, we just last seen her on right before 90 Day Fiancé. We seen her on Before the 90 Days, and she was with Usman. Usman was previously married to somebody else before, and that didn't work out, and I'm not even going to go into deep in depth in that. So last season on Before the 90 Days, Kimberly and Usman, Kimberly went to Tanzania to meet up with Usman while he shot a music video, because he's a international superstar rapper from Nigeria and everything, and he shot this music video. It was called Zara, and Kimberly went over to see the music video, and they spent some time with them. And she went from a potential, then they started dating. Then Usman admitted that the name Zara was an ex-girlfriend of his that he kind of still had feelings for. Upset at Kimberly. They worked it out. They still worked at the tell-all. They saw a phone call with Zara. She wasn't happy. Whatever. But I think Kimberly, and Usman pronounces her name like this, Kimbali. So Kimbali and Usman. So Kimberly's at the doctor's, at the dentist, and she's showing the dentist Usman's music video, which was weird. And the dentist was like, "Oh, that's cool. Where's he from?" And she's like, "Oh, Nigeria, whatever." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So Kimberly meets up with her friends. So Kimberly apparently, right before they started filming for Happily Ever After, had just went over to Nigeria to meet up with Usman. They just hung out and dated, and everything. Didn't do much. Just went over for a couple weeks just to hang out and chill, whatever. Now she came back to San Diego, where she's from, and now she's meeting up with her friends and say, she's saying how madly she's in love with Usman, because guys, I can tell you, Kimberly is obsessed with this man. I had never seen a woman so obsessed over this man and everything. And again, they're another age gap, and so Kimberly was meeting with her friends at a restaurant, and she says she's going back to Nigeria, and this time when she goes to Nigeria, she's going to meet Usman's parents and family and stuff. Now, Usman's family, they don't believe in interracial relationships. Because when Usman was married to his ex-wife, they had to get the mother's blessing in order to get married, and the mother would just not do it, and because he was also with a Caucasian woman, and they bought goats, they did everything. They went to some church ceremonies, and they did everything they could, and just could not get her blessing. Ultimately, she did give him the blessing, but then look how that ended. So now we got Kimberly in the picture. Now it's gonna be the same thing, and they're gonna be like, we done this before already, so why are we doing this again and stuff? I'm just warning y'all now. It's gonna be another one of those. But now Kimberly is meeting with her friends, and she says she's going back to Nigeria, and she drops this on us. Kimberly said that she is going to propose to Usman. She is going to propose to Usman. I'm just like, oh my goodness. Why? You're breaking all kinds of tradition for starters. All kinds of tradition on any level, any kind of culture in the world. Yes, girls can propose to a guy. Yeah, it can, but it's just very rare when that happens, for starters. And I just don't understand why she is so obsessed with this man that she wants to propose to him and stuff. Now, with her being in her 50s, she has a son named Jamal. He's like around my age, around late 20s, early 30s, and Usman's in his early 30s, close to mid 30s. Kimberly can't have any more kids. Now, in Nigerian culture, you're allowed to have a second or third wife and stuff. Now, there's a debate going on with the second wife, that Usman may take a second wife since she may not have kids, and he may have to have kids with the second wife. Now, when you're the second and third wife, now the first wife is the one that gets the most attention. Like everything has to be, if you're doing anything joint together, it's the first wife. But he may have to take a second wife just so he can have kids and stuff. And Kimberly is okay with that because she knows where her age is, but she says she has to know every single thing that goes on with that. So Kimberly is going back to Nigeria, and then her friends were just like, are you planning on bringing him here and stuff? Like, she was like, yeah, I'm planning on bringing him here on a K1, and is he gonna bring the kids? And she said no. And we were just like, oh, and the friends were just like, wait, hold on. You're going to bring him on a K1 visa, and he's going to have a second wife and kids, and they're not going to be able to come here? And that triggered Kimberly. She's like, no, it's not like that. It's not like that. And then she starts crying and runs off. You guys are asking me too much questions. Like, I'm really defensive when it comes to Usman and stuff. I'm like, well, they're right. Like, how are you going to bring him here on a K1 visa, and he takes a second wife and has kids, and you can't bring them here? Like, that don't make no sense. That's definitely abusing the system. You'll get denied if they figure that out. Like, come on now. So, I personally don't think Usman's gonna get a K1 visa. I'm sorry. If he gets some kind of visa and comes there, I would be amazed. Kind of like with Michael. But I don't think he's gonna do it. So, so that was Kimberly and Usman, and the fact that she's gonna propose to him, it just, like, I just don't understand her obsession with this man. So yeah, that was Kimberly and Usman. Next, I want to talk is Jovi and Yara. So Jovi and Yara, we seen them on season 8 of 90 Day Fiancé, and then season 6 of Happily Ever After. Now, when I first met Jovi and Yara, I did not like neither one of them. Jovi is, he's a worker, but he likes to party a lot. He likes to hang out with his buddies, go to strip clubs, just drink all the time. I felt like he really had like a drinking problem. Yara comes in from the Ukraine, and I guess they had when they met and stuff over in Ukraine, they had fun, and life was good at the time and then they got engaged, and Yara had to come here on the K1. And as soon as Yara got here, all she did was whine, complain, moan, and then she got pregnant. And Jovi has this job where he has to work for a month, and then he's home for a month, and then work for a month, and where he travels and stuff. And then when COVID happened, Yara had her baby during COVID, and then Jovi was gone for 4 months. He got back in time for the birth of the baby, because of the quarantine rules, so they had to stay longer at the job. And so when he got back home, they had the baby, then he had to go back to work. It's back and forth. Last season on Happily Ever After, Jovi was saying he missed fun Yara and stuff, and so he took her to a strip club, and Yara didn't like it. She slapped him and stuff, and everything, and whatever. So this episode with Jovi and Yara, like I said, I'm not a fan of them because Jovi drinks too much and Yara just complains too much, and it's just so annoying. She just finds every little thing to complain and cry and moan about, and it's just really annoying. And this episode, the tables turned. Jovi's home from work. Yara made some new friends, and she's going out, and now Jovi's upset that she's going out hanging out with her friends. He's saying, I don't like these girls, I feel like these are bad influence on you and whatever. She's like, Jovi, you're out all the time working, it's my turn, I'm always home with the baby, it's now your turn. She's like, well, I don't mind you going out, but you're always, 2 hours turns into 6 hours or an all night thing and everything, so I don't like it. So Yara was like, it's my time now. So, she starts crying. You're making me feel like a bad person for wanting to do this. And Joey is just like, okay, go out with your friends, have fun. Me and the baby girl's name is Mila. We'll stay here, play, and whatever. So Yara goes out. She meets up with these little girlfriends and stuff. And, she was saying, I don't understand why he's having these trust issues right now. Yara's friends that she made, they were very, very ignorant. I felt like they were very, very ignorant. Now, Yara's ignorant too, so it kind of matched together. They said that Jovi is not attractive, and that he's out of her league. And I thought that was so disrespectful to say, so ignorant to say, because one, they are married. Both Yara and Jovi are very attractive people. They are married. They have a beautiful daughter together. And for someone to have the audacity to say that, it was just complete disrespect. I don't care if you're drinking or drunk or whatever. That was wrong. And then, Yara was saying that she was feeling not comfortable in her body anymore after having a baby and stuff. She's lost a little confidence. She's thinking about getting her boobs done. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, here we go. This is about to be a Larissa. And, and she was like, well, if I get this done, maybe me and Jovi will spend more time having sex than just fighting and stuff. And I'm just like, girl, please. Girl, please. And then you're going to expect Jovi to pay for them as well and stuff. And so, but again, that was just, I was just still irritated about her best friends. So they had that discussion. So, and I just want to point this out too. A lot of people's, there's a term that is used. I'm not going to say the full term. It's called blocking, and there's a word before that. I'm not going to say the other word, but you guys know what it means. It starts with a C. C, blocking. And when you're in a relationship, you're going to have a lot of blockers. It could either be kids that are jealous, someone who's jealous of your relationship, or your parents, I gotta tell you, the worst blockers are your best, the like the girl's best friends, like kind of like Yar's friends. I remember one time I was having a nice conversation with a friend. Wasn't hitting on this person. We're just having a nice, plain conversation, a really good, deep conversation. And then all of a sudden, her friends come in and start just talking, interrupts the conversation, and just starts talking about other stuff. I'm like, dang, y'all just gonna be rude and interrupt my conversation and just go on and stuff. I'm like, dang. So that's how I seen Yara's friends. And they were even trying to get her to get with another guy to move in with him and bring the baby and stuff. Like Yara's friends, I was just so irritated about that scene. That was just completely disrespectful. So that's what we've seen out of Jovi and Yara. And last but not least is this couple who I wish that was not on Happily Ever After, because this couple is just, and it's actually the family that's the problem. It's Elizabeth and Andre. So Elizabeth and Andre is from Moldova, Elizabeth's from Florida. Now, last season, Andre wanted to come into the family business as in real estate to flip houses with Elizabeth's father, Chuck, and stuff. And when Chuck let him, he asked Chuck for $100,000 loan to start his own business, but Chuck didn't give that. But he said, "I'll bring you into the business and shadow you." Well, as soon as he got into the business, he was working really well, but that irritated Elizabeth's sisters Jen and Becky and Charlie, and their brother Charlie, and that caused so much friction last season where they were fighting so much. Elizabeth's brother Charlie and Andre got into a big fist fight at the last time we saw them at the end of the season, last season of Happily Ever After. It was just a complete and utter mess. This family, it does nothing but argue and manipulate and scream and fight. It's just shameful. So this episode, Elizabeth and Andre, they actually bought a new house. They have a daughter named Eleanor, by the way. They bought a new house. Chuck comes over to see the new house. Elizabeth is talking about now that she wants to do some singing. And Andre's really supportive of her with that. And Chuck was like, "That's cool, but do you want to leave? You want to leave leave my business with me to do singing?" And she didn't decide what she's gonna do. If she wants to do singing as a hobby or singing as a profession. But I guess Andre is really supportive of her on that. But then they got into a conversation. Then Andre. Now I'm also not a fan of Andre either. I'm not Team Andre, and I'm not Team Elizabeth's family. I'm not a fan. The only person out of this whole group I like is just Elizabeth. I don't like Andre. Andre, he is very ignorant. He's very rude. He cusses. He has a big potty mouth. He's always cussing, and he can't control his anger and his cussing, especially around his daughter. For some reason, he just starts raising his voice at Elizabeth, saying, "We have the studio here where you could do this, blah, 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 this, and that." And he was cussing. Elizabeth was like, "Don't cuss in front of my dad. Don't cuss in front of your daughter," and stuff. So it's like, oh, here we go again. So then later, Elizabeth, Jen, and Becky, the sisters, meet up with Elizabeth's mother. Now, I have not seen Elizabeth's mother since season 4, Happily Ever After, when Eleanor was born. This is the first time I'm seeing the mother in a few years. And the mother was like, they went to a restaurant, and they were like, "Listen, guys, I have a birthday coming up. And, I would like, first things first, I want you guys to make amends with Charlie." And the sisters were like, "We love Charlie, but he has a drinking problem, and he's very toxic, and we don't want to be part of that right now. He needs to get help, and you guys need to get him help, not us and stuff, and we don't want to be around him." So I guess, I don't think it's the fight that happened at Chuck's barbecue last year. I guess Charlie really does have like a drinking problem that's like terrorizing his family. So how they were talking yesterday, I don't see it as just a fight with Andre, but he does have like a problem that he needs to get help on. So they were talking about, but Elizabeth's mom, Alyssa's mom was like, I want all of my kids to come to my birthday party. Put your differences aside and just have fun for a couple hours. And they were just like, "Are you serious?" The last time we tried, first because the dad wanted to do all of that last season. Chuck wanted to do all that last season, and every time he did that, it just turned into chaos. So now the mother is coming back in and wants to do that. I'm like, Mom. They were like, Mom, why? It's just gonna be nothing but trouble. You know how this family is. And yeah, Elizabeth's family, they are very rude. They're very rude. And when even during this scene, they were like screaming at her mom. I was like, Mom, stop! Why are you doing this? I'm like, they're very disrespectful to their parents. Like, they're close to their parents, but they're not that respectful. And I would not be yelling at my mom, even if I'm frustrated. I would not be yelling at my mom the way that these kids were yelling at their mom. I don't care if they're grown or not. So we'll see how that plays out. So yeah, guys, I rambled on for like a half an hour here. Yeah, happily ever after, and there's just a lot to talk about. We did not get to see Big Ed and Liz in this episode, or Angela and Michael, but judging by the previews, they'll be on next week and stuff, and it's just going to be a long season. It's going to be a long season. It's going to be a dramatic season. I'm praying it's not as dramatic as last season. I just want some happiness. Like, I was enjoying all the spin-offs up until this point. Happily Ever After is just the most dramatic one, So I was enjoying before the 90 days. I was enjoying the 90 days, the past season of The Other Way and stuff. But now we're back to Happily Ever After. This show should be the best one, but it's the worst one. I mean, it's not bad in terms of the show, but it's, the couples are not happy when they're on the show. And I know TLC producers egg a situation on more than what it really is at times, but still, you can't make yourself look this bad on TV, because it's just really a bad look, especially when people like me do our recaps and our reviews of these episodes. It's not a good look. So yeah, guys, that was Happily Ever After, Season 7, Episode 1. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back on Wednesday to do Married at First Sight, and you guys have a great week.